But the first thing I wanted to do was start with something called getting clear. Now, here's why I start with this. A lot of times we go into negotiations or coming to an agreement with somebody, and we haven't even gotten to an agreement with ourselves about what we really want and what we don't want and where we are and what we fear and our vulnerabilities and all of that stuff. And what happens is a lot of times people go into a negotiation about anything and they're not really settled inside. And so the first thing I wanted to start with is a list of things for you to think about before you go into a negotiation about getting clear within yourself. So what are some things you need to get clear about? Well, the first one is that a negotiation is best entered into when you are not in a needy position, okay? If you're negotiating anything and you really need that person to like you, or you need them to be happy with you, or you really, really need whatever it is you're trying to negotiate, then that's going to come out. And what happens is, that's fine with loving, giving people, but with somebody who wants to take advantage of you, they're going to sense the neediness and the dependency. You see this all the time in the dating world, where somebody's really needy for a relationship and the other person starts to date them and they kind of like get away with murder. You know, they're late, or they don't show up, or they won't flex, or this, that, and the other. And the needy one, instead of negotiating the terms of a real relationship, they're giving in, and then the physics gets off, and pretty much by the end of it, one person's got control because of the other person's neediness, and those relationships never turn out well, okay? So go into it asking yourself, what is it that I am going into here feeling needy about? And then get that need met somewhere else so you can go in from the strong position, okay? So the next thing we need to be clear about, the so what, okay? So what if I say yes? What are the consequences of that? And what if I say no? What are the consequences of that? Because every negotiation, you've got to be clear about the consequences of, if you agree to this, what it's really going to look like, because you might agree to something on the spot that you're going to not like later. That's why they have a cooling off period when you buy a new car. You might get caught, right? So figure out before you go in, what do if I do this, what's it going to cost me? Time, energy, relationally, money, whatever it is. And do I really, really, really want to live with that? So you want to get clear about what the consequences are going to mean to you, okay? The next one, and this is where we're really, really getting into clarity of a strong negotiating position. What do you want, okay? Now, we're going to talk a little bit more later about negotiations that are based on meeting the needs and the interests and the wants of each other. But the best way to know that beforehand and to go in there is to be clear about what you want. You know, a lot of times we will kind of react because there's just something that doesn't feel good. I was watching a couple of parents talk about their teenage daughter had gotten invited to, I think it was a high school football game. And the mom goes, well, absolutely not. And the dad goes, why? And the mom says, no, she can't go to that other city. And she's just like reacting and saying, no, there's just no way. And he's like, well, I don't see what's wrong with this. And so they get in this big squabble, and it's got the push-pull thing, right? And so what I asked them was, and she was the more reactive one, and I asked her first, I said, what is it that you want here? She said, well, I don't want her to go. I said, I know, but what, you don't want her to go because you want something. What is it that you want? And she said, well, I don't want her getting hurt, and I don't want her to get in trouble. I said, okay, so you want her to be safe. Is that right? Okay. then let's say that you want her to be safe. And whatever you guys decide, you have to come to a conclusion that's going to mean that she's safe. Now, when she saw that there may be a way to find out how to negotiate this and she could be assured of her daughter's safety, then she was more open and they could go forward and they didn't get in that logjam. But for us to do that, we've got to know what's important to us. When you go buy a house, what's really important to you? Is the neighborhood